Hello friends, and welcome back to Figure Study, where we're taking a look at Universe Ratbat, because apparently, as has been pointed out by TJ Omega in the past, everyone has their one mold that they'll buy multiples of, and I guess mine is Cybertron Sideways. So here we are with Universe Ratbat, which is a repaint, obviously, of Cybertron Sideways. And I know very little of Ratbat as a character. I'm familiar with the Car Wash of Doom. I guess comics were weird back then. They're still weird, but whatever. And that's about it. I know he's a senator, or at least was a senator in IDW, I think. Yeah, I don't know much about Ratbat. All I know is I thought this was cool, and I like this mold, so I got it. And it works really well. There are certain things I would like to change about it, which I will be doing at some point in the future, which is also why I wanted to do this video, so that, I get it out of the way so I can make those changes. But it's definitely evocative of Ratbat's colors, because he's, this kind of burgundy-ish purple, gold, and black. That's his shtick. And it looks good here. The only gripe I have with regards to the coloring in this mode is I wish there was more of it. This bit up in here looks just fine, but I feel like he could use a little bit more, maybe up in the wings here, definitely a bit more up in the cockpit section here. Because, yeah, he's got the yellow windows and a little bit of gold peeking out there, but he just needs a little bit more color. And the spoilers, I guess, same for robot mode. This still looks good. I just wish that there was a little bit more in there, like maybe some extra gold detailing and whatnot. But, yeah, it's cool. This particular ship mode, the sideways ship mode, totally works for kind of like a bat-like thing. I mean, yeah, it's still a ship. But because of the wings, because of the detailing, I still think it works as Ratbat, from what little I know of like the other toys anyway. And I still really like this ship mode, just like I said with Sideways, which if you want to see the Sideways video, you can check that out. It's a great ship, it's a great figure, it's great. And it's the exact same, like there is, aside from the color, there is nothing different from what I can tell about this figure versus Cybertron Sideways. The molding is all exactly the same. The head's not even different. It's just the color, the paint, and the symbol up there. Instead of Decepticon and Autobot, it's Decepticon, and then I believe it's Ratbat's Decepticon logo, which we'll see more in robot mode. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this thing. It's Cybertron Sideways, but in purpley, maroon, burgundy, and gold and black. The distribution's nice, though. I like how you've got this black and silver mass in the center of the vehicle, and then you've got the purple primarily kept to the cockpit section and the wings, with like just a little bit of detailing going down the center to tie it all together. But this, the way this works, really does make me want to see a little bit of extra black and gold, like, throughout the other bits, because it's sort of like this is nicely detailed, and then these just feel not blank and unpainted, but they feel less painted than this does. Granted, some of that detailing is from the translucent plastic for the Gimmick thing, but still, it would just be nice to get a little extra color breakup. Speaking of the Gimmick thing, I guess we might as well go ahead and do this again, because why not? And I can show off the faction logo change that I was talking about. Got the Cyber Key here, which is just stock purple with the silver Decepticon logo. And the purple and silver is a good combination, but it would have been cool if they painted a little bit more going around the outside there. But anyway, let's slide that in and push down. And there we've got the little dragonfly blaster thing, and you can see the Decepticon logo, but it's Ratbat. I guess it's a nice little detail. I don't know enough about the comic or anything to really have much of an opinion, but it works. It's simple, to the point, and I love how it integrates into both modes and just kind of gets out of the way. Anyway, speaking of getting things out of the way, let's move him out of the way so we can do some size comparisons. Just like Cybertron Sideways, he's pretty much deluxe, average deluxe size. The wings stick out a little bit further, but they're also very thin, so I think it works. There is, let me scooch him in a little more. There is Ratbat with the duck tank. And here's Ratbat with Sideways, and it's, like I said, it's the exact same mold. Nothing has changed physically in terms of the molding or design or anything like that, but the colors drastically different. And they do come off as different characters, but again, you can kind of get a feel for what I'm saying here with how, like, there just needs to be more paint. Just a little bit more paint on Ratbat in, like, the cockpit and wings section, because it breaks up so much nicer on Sideways there. I also think it's funny how, looking at their cyber keys, Ratbat's has the nice silver Decepticon logo, whereas Sideways, the Decepticon logo you can barely see, but he does have the nice silver border around it. So I guess if you could combine the two, then it would look pretty cool. Alright, let's get Ratbat transformed into his robot mode, and if you've seen it for Cybertron Sideways, you've seen it for this figure, because, as I said, the exact same thing. But I'm going to show it off anyway, because why not? And here we have Universe Ratbat in robot mode, and it's Cybertron Sideways, but in the very kind of maroon pink color. But there's one thing I want to do to this guy that I think is going to make a big difference, and it's a bit of a fan mode thing, but I don't care because it's significant. So, going to pull off the wings, as you do. If you remember, these could be used as swords or as some kind of dual weapon thing where you can, have one plugged into each hand like that, or plug both into the hand like that. But for Ratbat, what's cool about this is, and again, this is not my thing, I'm taking this from another fan mode that I saw, but you can plug these in right back here, facing forward. This is pretty much where they sat in vehicle mode, and I mean, they can wiggle a little bit, but they hold solidly enough. And when you do that, get his arms resituated here. But when you do that, you end up with a it's still sideways, it's still definitively sideways, but with the addition of not just the new colors, but now having these wings back there, I feel like that works so much better to really bring across that this is a different character. Like I said, not my design, not my fan mode thing, but it totally works. Also, something worth pointing out, I did actually modify this figure a tiny bit, and I need to do it with Sideways too. These bits here were actually super easy to have them droop, so I went in there with a little bit of floor polish, and now you can see they actually stay where you put them, which is nice. And if you want to know about the floor polish thing, there's the link to the video that just went up a couple weeks ago, I think, as of this posting. But anyway, yes, Ratbat looks pretty darn great, but he, again, has this thing where, like, there's a lot of color shifts going on here. There's a fair bit of colors changing up, but he still feels like he needs more. Again, particularly in what is now the chest, which was the cockpit, and also in the legs. I mean, there's a fair bit of detailing here, including the sort of semi-metallic paint for the feet here, but it kind of looks like one big strip of similar color going all the way up to the knee. I really wish they had done some kind of like gold panel lining inside there at the very least. Possibly black, I don't know. But they just needed to bring more color into sort of the middle section of his body. I feel like the arms are fine, the wings are okay, though I feel like doing a little bit of detailing in the wings would also help because it would benefit this as well as the jet mode, but it just needs something, which is a big reason why I'm doing this video now, so that I can get this out of the way and then actually do some custom work on this guy, because I have been desperately wanting to add some stuff, particularly to the cockpit/chest. But anyway, as far as the colors go, it's pretty nice. You get some new gray colors, which you didn't really see in vehicle mode, but you still have a little bit of gold. Definitely less gold visible here. Like, the majority of it, not the majority, but a fair bit of it is now on his back, and a little bit on his shoulders there, and also on the sides of his weapon. But when you're looking at him from the front, you don't really see the weapon like that. But then you've got some gold in the shoulders there, a little bit of gold in the ears, gold on the little plates for the hands, which we'll see in detail in a little bit. The detailing's there, it just needs more going up the middle, because it kind of seems, it feels unpainted. It's not unpainted, but it feels like it's, but it feels like it doesn't have a lot of paint going on up the middle here. So definitely want to fix that. Moving in on those details, it's exactly the same as Sideways. The entire figure looks exactly the same as Sideways as far as molding goes. Here you can see a little bit better the metallic-y, purpley, magenta-y paint that they used for the tops of the feet. And this does look good, and I like that they left this little black strip unpainted, but I kind of wish that more of it came out to the sides a little bit to kind of help break up some of that color in the vehicle mode. And then with the shins up to the knees, there's a lot of nice detailing in there, but none of it is painted. And this could really use something. Just a little bit of black, a little bit of gold, something to break this up. And the black for the thighs, which again, I feel like these aren't so bad because the knee pads come up to cover them most of the way, but these could definitely use a little bit of maybe gold or something like that when you're looking at them, like without the knees in the way. But it's not as big a deal with the knees there. Then you've got that lighter gray for the midsection, which does have some nice detailing in it, and I think a little bit of paint in there would be good, but it's not as important, I think, as this massive block of nothing. As for the chest, it's, again, some nice detailing, but so little paint, especially now. Like in jet mode, you at least have the gold that makes up the tips of the ears poking through. But in this, in robot mode, it's just this purpley burgundy color with like a little bit of that yellow for the cockpit windows, which would be okay, except because it's translucent plastic, it's definitely less bright than the gold paint on the rest of them. So yeah, this whole section needs a little bit of black and a little bit of gold to really help it pop. And the shoulders have that nice gold detailing, and I don't mind the shoulders at all. And I mean, the biceps and forearms, that's fine. Like, there's some nice detailing. It doesn't necessarily need to be painted. And I appreciate the fact that the fists have two different bits of paint. There's the gray and then the gold for the venting to make it kind of look like he's wearing gauntlets. And that's cool. I appreciate that. I kind of like the fingerless gloves look on figures. I think it's neat. And again, you've got the very nicely detailed weapon up here with this kind of circuitry stuff that's been painted in gold, a little bit of that metallic-y purple there. And yeah, this looks good. I kind of wish that this kind of attention was paid to the rest of the torso, and yeah, it would have been nice. And then we come to the head, and the head is Sideways head, but with that gold on the ear tips, and that's pretty much it. Like, there's that yellow translucent plastic for the, you can kind of see it glow in there if I angle it just right. There's that for the visor, which is cool, but he really needs a bit more here. Just a little bit more gold in places, maybe a little bit more of that black, again, to just kind of bring it all together. But, as many have said, you can totally see why they chose this mold for Ratbat here, too, because that totally works as a bat head, so no complaints there. It just needs a little more paint detailing, as I said. I can and will be doing that myself in the near future, now that I've started on this video to get this taken care of. Because it's like I said, I kind of want to do the default look before I start doing any custom stuff. Anyway, as for size comparisons, here's Ratbat with a standard deluxe, and you can see that, he's definitely taller. Even if you go to the top of Downshift's engine block behind his head, he's definitely taller. Though Downshift does have much more mass in the chest, because he's got the entire front of a car for a chest. Here's Ratbat with the duck tank. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, especially because I'm going to be having more and more versions of this figure coming in the near future, here is Ratbat with Sideways, and you can see very different decos, very different color palettes, and they completely work as two separate characters. I don't necessarily think that Ratbat needs to have the same paint distribution, like the same patterns as Sideways, but definitely needs a little bit more breakup, because I mean, Sideways you've got like the black, but then you've also got the orange and the copper color, and it's just broken up a little bit better. You've got the orange panel lining and detailing in the thighs, silver in the knees, the same for the arms, the copper colors there. To Ratbat's credit, Sideways does not have the gauntlet look for his fists. They just painted the venting on the top, which works just fine. But yeah, particularly the chest and head, you can see Sideways, his deco works so much better in this general area than Ratbat's, because Ratbat, as I said, he's not unpainted, but he feels unpainted because this is so stark. But yeah, I really like how it's the exact same figure, but with a different color scheme and placing the wings in different places. They do completely come off as different characters. I mean, you can still totally see that they're the same figure, but they still feel like individuals. Anywho's, that's going to do it for Universe Ratbat. As I said, this is the mold for me that I will probably buy just about every repaint I can get my hands on. Much to my own chagrin, that does include the BotCon versions. I already have Scourge, and that video is eventually going to be coming. But yeah, I've got Scourge. I'm deciding whether or not I want to do the sweeps. Not entirely sure about that, but I definitely have Scourge. I've got Noise Maze in my pile of loot at BBTS, which is basically just Galaxy Force Sideways, and it's got a slightly different deco. So definitely going to be getting that one eventually whenever I ship my pile of loot. And then the last one that I definitely want to get my hands on is the mass production version of Noise Maze, which is like a white and gray with gold accents version of this same figure, and it looks really cool and is apparently incredibly hard to find. So hooray for finding a new grail, I guess. I sure know how to pick them. Anyway, that is going to do it for Universe Ratbat. What do you all think of this guy? Is this something that you would prefer over the regular Cybertron Sideways? Is there a particular color scheme of the different versions that are out there that you would prefer out of all the Cybertron Sideways figures? Are you like me and want to have all the different variants, for better or worse? And how do you feel as far as this getting across Ratbat? I feel like it does a pretty darn good job of it, but I also don't know Ratbat very well. And like I said, I definitely think this thing could do with a little bit more paint detailing in some places. But whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And while you're at it, also feel free to like, subscribe, or if you're feeling generous, you could buy me a coffee. Any of those things would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.